Hello, everyone, and welcome to our special event today as we focus on body diversity, acceptance, and inclusion in professional settings. This subject is something that's near and dear to my heart, and I've been super excited about this event. You know, almost since the beginning of time, I think our society has promoted these unrealistic, often unattainable images of what every woman should be. And as a result, so many of us have spent way too much of our life, you know, obsessing, scrutinizing, criticizing, and otherwise feeling very unhappy about ourselves. And so I'm always looking for ways to get past those feelings. And I know that lots of other people are as well. So we are very honored to have with us today two experts in this area. I'll start by introducing Shaquana Chappelle. She transforms the style and image of professional women and women entrepreneurs so that they can step into their confidence, make their best impression, and propel their careers and brands forward. She has helped countless women break out of their comfort zone, identify their unique style, and create confident and bold looks, gaining an extra boost of confidence when climbing that corporate ladder, negotiating big deals, and securing speaking engagements for high-profile conferences. Through her enlightening and relatable book, Get Up and Get Dressed, Shaquanna helps women remove any self-consciousness toward their bodies and their styles and embrace themselves physically, emotionally, and spiritually. We also have with us Sophia Marie Lightfoot. She is a weight loss and body image specialist. After a 35-year battle with yo-yo dieting, emotional overeating, and binge eating, former breastfeeding counselor and school teacher, she discovered how to permanently change her eating habits and trim her waistline by healing her relationship with food, her body, and herself. She now dedicates her time and energy to empowering heart-centered, purpose-driven women with the skills to create and maintain their ideal body shape and size without dieting or restriction, to improve health and vitality, and to express themselves authentically and unapologetically. Sophia's first book, It's Not About Your Weight, is being published later this year. For our attendees, we're going to go through some questions with our panelists, and we're also going to save some time at the end for audience questions. So if you have any questions, you feel free to pop those into the chat, and we will get to just as many of those as we can. So let's get started. Ladies, we would love to get to know more about each of you as we start this panel. So tell us what industry or field you're in and what sparked your passion for this topic.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Brandy, and thank you everyone for attending. I guess I'll kick it off first. So my industry is all things style, but I like to tell people it's kind of like a style therapy session when you have an encounter with me. As much as I can help put together an outfit or figure out what you should buy at the store or anything like that, I'm all about that inner soul work that's needed and necessary as well to really tap into your confidence. So like Brandy mentioned, as an image and style expert, I help professional women mainly, and some entrepreneurial women as well, just really transform their image and their style so they can really show up with confidence. And what really sparked this passion of mine, I didn't know that when I was younger, I didn't know styling was like a thing. I didn't know that I could have a career with it. Just as a quick background, I served in corporate America for 11 years. My background was in IT, so I didn't go to school for any of this. I just naturally began to love style by watching my parents, watching my family members around me, and how they use style as a way to really uplift themselves and get dressed in a way that made them feel their best. And so because I know firsthand how that feels as a plus size woman, I like to help women of all shapes, sizes, and body types feel that same way, because I know without a doubt when women feel good and feel unstoppable, that's when real change happens. So that is kind of how I came about doing this.
Great. Sophia, how about you?
Thank you, Shaquana. I love your work. And I came into this industry really because I was very reluctant. I didn't want to be part of the weight loss industry, but I had battled for so long myself to change my weight, thinking that would resolve all my self-confidence issues. And really, the way I was eating was so unhealthy. And finally, that was the driving factor for me. But I had a bit of a breakdown in 2017. I'd struggled with my mental health since my early childhood. I'm the daughter of immigrants, people who were displaced after the Second World War, and they came to Australia. And we didn't look like everyone, we didn't sound like everyone. I was born in Australia. I was very aware that the way I looked and sounded was different to my Australian neighbors. And my family, I really picked up on that within my family and the Polish community and the Ukrainian community that I was a part of. We were different and they felt different and we looked different, sounded different, we ate different. And that feeling of being really different and not belonging, as well as listening to women judging and criticizing other women, listening to comments like, you know, who does she think she is, being up on the stage dancing with those big thighs, or why didn't she do something with her hair, or what's she wearing, who, she's too old to wear something like that. Those sorts of comments, we don't realize how much as children we take those in and they form our beliefs. So that as an adult, I felt very uncomfortable in my own body, because the image of the typical Australian successful woman looks different to me, and was thinner, taller, lighter, usually blonde and blue-eyed. I really felt like I didn't belong. And this happens for so many women for so many different reasons. So trying to control my weight and trying to be a certain shape and size really drove this very disordered eating behaviors. But at the same time, we often carry extra weight because we want to protect ourselves, because it's comforting. And in the homes where we grow up, food is love. Food is connection. It's our connection with the people who take care of us. It's connection with our culture. And we don't realize how much we eat when we're not actually hungry. So all of that together, when I sort of came into the coaching industry, and I found my own path to healing and resolving what was driving my very dysfunctional eating behaviors, which was studying with Marissa Peer. She's a world-renowned hypnotherapist who created rapid transformational therapy, and it really gets to the root cause of what's underlying our dysfunctional behaviors, our fears, our low levels of self-confidence. And then I really understood how much food had played a part in my life, how much my relationship with food, my body, and myself needed to be upgraded, how many beliefs I had around food and eating and what I looked like, and who I was and what was and wasn't available to me in this body, being myself. Then I really felt it was my duty to share this knowledge and to help other women. And many of the clients I have, they come to me initially for weight loss, and then they realize they don't actually even want to lose weight. They just want to feel good in their bodies. When we truly love ourselves and feel good in our bodies, like Shaquana said, we become unstoppable. And in the workplace, whether we're in our own businesses or as an employee in a larger organization, when we feel good about ourselves, we feel good about our bodies, we have clarity of thought. We're not constantly undermining ourselves. And we are, according to quantum physics, we are 99.99% energy. So our body is like 0.001% matter. Ali Sundermeer, who's I don't know if I pronounced her name correctly, she's a scientific journalist. She says if the entire human race, if the matter of the entire human race, it could squish down to one sugar cube. So while we live in our body, there's so much more to us than our physical body. And I believe when we really tap into who we truly are, our true potential as human spiritual beings, and we see that in one another, that's when we can really move forward and create some wonderful changes in the world.
Wow, thank you. Your story is a huge inspiration to all of us. And I'm actually going to kind of combine a couple of questions here to make this next one a little more interesting. Let's talk about what body diversity means, why it matters, and how leaders can be mindful of the significance of it in our workplaces.
Yeah, so for me, body diversity, I'm in the style space. So it's very much so about body inclusion. Myself and my clients patronize a lot of different retailers and brands that sell different clothes. So we're all about, what are those brands that are really body inclusive, because all of our bodies are different. I also think about body positivity and just really including, accepting, and not stigmatizing, I would say, someone because of their natural body. That's what it means to me. And if I take it on kind of a personal note, like I said, I was in corporate America working for about 11 years, and yeah, I had got to like a management level, and that's great. But when at the beginning, when we started to talk about this particular panel, I did some reflecting, and I was like, oh my goodness, throughout my career, I did not see a lot of plus size women. I may have seen some, Black women, Black men, but they were all the standard body frame, I would say. And I thought about and reflected on how that would have made me feel if I saw someone that had the same body type as me, and it would have made me feel some type of belonging. And so I feel like when it comes to leaders and they're trying to promote body diversity, in their groups, organizations, in the workplace in general, I think that it's super important to just observe, learn, listen, and just take in everything around you, because you will notice that everyone is shaped differently or have different bodies, and use that to help provide different perspectives and how they choose to lead and make impactful decisions as well.
Yeah. I think it's so important for leaders to be aware of their own prejudices, because it wasn't until I did the hypnotherapy work as a client myself that I remembered listening to all these women's comments as I was growing up. And it was men and women, but the women had the most impact. Comments like, look at her, she's the size of a fridge. Who says that? Like, it was so mean and nasty. So as leaders, we need to be coming from a place of loving kindness and compassion, and seeing the beauty in every shape and size. And also understanding, for a lot of women and men, when they're carrying extra body weight, one, it is not their fault, and it's not a matter of willpower. When we grow up, we pick up messages about who we are, what's available to us, and what food means to us. And these live below the surface of our conscious understanding. So, for example, for many of us, when we finished everything on our plate, we were rewarded with praise. I remember I would have a whole table full of people cheering. I had everything on my plate. I was often the youngest at family gatherings, and many of the women in my family were extraordinary cooks. So they would say, come on, Sophia, try this. Come on, Sophia, try this. She's eaten everything. I would leave feeling really uncomfortable, but with this sense of acceptance and love. So as an adult, whenever I felt nervous, if I felt any sorts of emotions that I wasn't quite sure how to handle, if I felt unsure of myself, if I had a disagreement with my boss or a coworker, or I didn't have the skills to speak up for myself assertively, because again, that was not something I learned growing up, I would start eating and eating and eating. And I didn't realize until I experienced hypnotherapy for myself that I linked that feeling of absolute fullness, being so full that my button is going to pop off my skirt, with being loved and accepted. So as leaders, it's understanding that, one, for some people and some women, they love being large and voluptuous and soft. Children love coming to a large woman and having a cuddle. And I've had clients in when they regress in hypnotherapy remember, oh my gosh, mom was so soft and cuddly. And now I'm keeping this excess weight, which is actually making me unwell because I want to be like her. And I remember how beautiful she felt. And when we can hold that memory in our heart, but release any excess unwanted weight, only if we don't want it, because weight in and of itself is not necessarily unhealthy. We can be really healthy and larger, and we can celebrate the beauty of our shape. So as leaders, it's recognizing that there are lots of underlying causes for people's body size and shape. And a lot of it is not within our conscious control. So it's having that compassion, having that understanding, and also looking beyond body shape and size, looking at the real person and taking an interest in each individual person, helping them to feel comfortable, commenting on their character, even on their productivity, but most importantly on their character, and just being mindful of what are we hearing in a conversation and being a witness to that, and acknowledging when people are making comments that are inappropriate, basically that are loving, mean, or judgmental of someone else, because that's not okay. When we feel good about ourselves, we make the best contribution. We can really be free to express ourselves, our unique talents and abilities, and make a real contribution to the organizations we work for.
Yeah, that was good. And Brandy, I'm sorry if I can kind of piggyback off of that.
Of course.
Sophia, because what you said at the beginning about leaders kind of checking themselves, understanding their own prejudices. I think we as a leadership group, as a society, or what have you, should give ourselves permission to unlearn what we've been taught. I'm from the South, so we eat a lot. And and I have that same experience, Sophia, where it's like, as a child, it's like, did you eat all your food on your plate? And and that was celebrated. But then my grandmother would come in on Thanksgiving and be like, you're going to get a second plate? Like, why are you doing that? And it really impacts how I thought about myself. And but anyways, what the main thing I was saying is that we as society could truly benefit from unlearning what society has taught us, unlearning what the standard size should be for a woman, because honestly, there is no standard size. We're all different. And unlearning that, I guess, perception that, oh, if they're heavy or overweight, then they don't care about their health, or they have diseases and health issues. Like, we kind of have to unlearn all of this stuff that we've been taught in order for us to really open our eyes and see. So I just want
Absolutely. Yes. And that reminded me of another point. Thank you, Shaquana. I've had clients where they go to work and there's junk food everywhere. So there aren't actually healthy alternatives. So as leaders, promoting a healthy workforce, because we want the people in our organizations to be healthy. When we're having morning teas or celebrating like birthday lunches, it's about providing a range of foods, a variety of foods that are actually healthy, and promoting health so that people can still have that beautiful connection, but over healthy meals with vegetables and high quality protein and healthy fats. Because when we're bringing donuts and cakes to work and we're bonding over that food, that's creating a culture that's unhealthy and unwell. And for many women who really want to be healthy, not just a different shape and size, but the clients that I've worked with who really wanted to release excess weight for health reasons, they'd had tests from their doctors saying, they need to change how they're eating, and they need to really limit their sugar intake because they're, going to be developing diabetes. We need in the workplace to really encourage and celebrate healthy eating when we get together and eat together as well.
Great comments, ladies. And this really segues nicely into our next question, which is, what are some of the most common misconceptions or myths when it comes to body diversity?
I'd say that large is unhealthy. Mm-hmm. That's one of the most common myths, or it's not beautiful. Mm. Who says large is not beautiful? or that we have to be a certain size. And this is so much because of the images in the media. So within organizations, if we can have photographs of our staff looking beautiful, of all shapes, sizes, ethnicities, it's really hard. And I'm seeing this more and more, now. But I went down for a walk. My dad, who I hadn't seen in 5 years, he lives interstate, visited me last week, and we had some wonderful times together. And I was walking down the seashore with him. I live near the bay here in Brisbane. And we noticed some exercise equipment. And I looked at the panels on the exercise equipment, and it was all slim white men on the pictures. And I checked all the panels and I'm like, is this not for women? Or anybody with a different shape, size, or color? And it felt so strange. I thought, in this day and age, why do I have a white male on the instruction board? So being aware of that in our, as leaders, making sure that in the imagery we have in our publications, photographs, on the walls within our organizations are really representative of a multicultural, multi-shaped, sized, diverse bodies. Even though they are just 0.001%, they are the 1% that we can see, hear, smell, taste, and touch.
Yeah, and I was going to say the same thing that Sophia said, that, if I'm petite and curvy, then I can't handle whatever job responsibilities there are. I think corporate does a good job of pushing, a healthy lifestyle, but it also almost sends a message that, hey, if you're not this particular height, this particular size, you're not on a C-suite because you're not healthy enough to handle that role or something like that. Like you have to understand how some people may internalize that. So just really removing that kind of thought of, oh, if they're heavy set, we can't promote them. And kind of to your point too, Sophia, because I really did a lot of reflecting on this. I was like, oh my gosh, why didn't I think about this when I was working in corporate? But even like the marketing materials and the pictures are on the walls and everything. And honestly, they're, doing better when it comes to race. But everyone is still that size 4, 6, 2. And it's like, well, where is the 5'4" woman who's, whatever weight, whatever size 16 or whatever, just to show people that they belong here, and that they are valuable as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Excellent, ladies. This question is specifically for Shaquanna. What is your take on body diversity and the way that it affects how we dress ourselves professionally?
It's the biggest topic that I unpack with my clients, because of what we've already been talking about. We grew up kind of sticking to, oh, I'm supposed to look like that person. And when we're not made like that, we immediately think something's wrong with us. We start nitpicking. I have worked with clients who literally, I put them in front of the mirror and you're like, no, I don't like my arms. I don't like my stomach. I don't like this. I don't like that. And I'm like, wait, like you're beating yourself up before we even like get started with anything. And when you constantly do that, beating yourself up, I don't like my stomach, I have to adjust your clothes and do all this stuff, you are literally training yourself to not love your body and not love yourself. And as Sophia mentioned, that trickles down to how you show up professionally and personally within your life as well. So one of the things I like to do with my clients is kind of get inside their head, like, how are you with body image? Like, what's going on? And I help them unpack that a bit. But when it comes to dressing professionally, that really impacts it. I work with a lot of powerful women, and they're in leadership positions in corporate, but they're always thinking or always saying, I'm the only plus size Black woman in the room most of the time. I'm the only petite woman in the room. And so I want outfits that really make a statement, really make me stand out. So I hear that often. And so that's why this topic is extremely important to me, because it's like, okay, let's make sure that you love and accept your body, and then let's dress. My motto, this is my number one rule I tell everyone: dress to highlight, not to hide. So many times, women, especially my fellow plus size curvy women, we like to dress to hide our lumps and our rolls, and we don't want to show too much. And sometimes when we do that, it actually kind of makes you look a little, dare I say, a little frumpy, I would say. It doesn't really flatter you and really make you feel your best. So I always say dress to highlight the areas you love. We all have areas of our body that we love. Do you love your arms? Great. Let's find some beautiful tops that highlight your arms so you can feel great when you walk into the office. Or do you like your legs, maybe your calves? Great. Let's find some great pencil skirts that really highlight those areas you love. So when you get dressed every morning and you're going into, or you're looking at the mirror, you're like, ooh, I feel wonderful. I feel great. And then you're able to walk into your workplace feeling very confident. So it's like this whole topic of body diversity, it impacts all different areas of your life day to day.
So true. So true. Sophia, how do you feel that our relationship with our bodies directly affects how we show up and conduct ourselves at work?
Well, we live in our body. We can never get away from our body. So it impacts everything. And if we're not feeling comfortable in our body, we don't show up authentically, and it takes up our bandwidth. So many of my clients, they're at work, but they're already thinking, oh, when am I going to eat? How many calories have I had? We've grown up in this diet culture. We're counting calories. We're keeping food diaries. Now we're counting macros. Now we have apps on our phone. So we're obsessing over what we're eating so we can get the right body, so we can look the part. It 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 just takes up our mental energy. So how can we really be focusing on our work when that's happening underneath? But other people may not even be aware of it. And regardless of shape and size, that's actually another real misconception, that women, if they're slim, they're healthy. One is if they're larger, they're unhealthy, but the other one is if they're slim, they're healthy. Because my body shape and size wasn't that much different when I was eating in a very unhealthy way. And when I start to mention it to people, they'd say, look me up and down and go, there's nothing wrong with you. I'm like, oh gosh, you don't understand. I have a problem. So the way we feel about our body impacts every area of our lives. When we can feel really comfortable in our body, when we feel like we belong in our own body, then we can feel comfortable in our external environment, and we can bring our mental focus and attention to the work we're doing, to the impact we're creating, to the contribution we are making. Because these thoughts about our body, things like, oh, I don't like my arms, or oh, I don't like my double chin, or my hips are too big, my thighs are too big, I don't like this outfit, I don't feel comfortable. They take up they take up space in our heads. When we don't have that, we can just show up and be comfortable. We can be fully present with the people that we are working with the people who are most important to us. We can really be fully present with our work and make a really wonderful contribution.
I really like the point that you made regarding recognition. And I think that's really important, especially when we look in organizations where maybe those, top leaders are more of the typical size. They're, maybe, traditionally thin and fit folks who fit a very standard mold. They may not necessarily realize that other people in the organization may feel excluded because they feel great and they may not even recognize that it's a problem. And so that brings us to, how does body diversity affect leadership style? And especially, how can leaders be more cognizant when maybe body image isn't an issue for them, but they still want to create that inclusive, healthy environment for their employees?
I feel like as a leader, a lot of a lot of the leadership role, yes, there's, the work involved, but it's really about knowing your people and understanding your people, observing them, learning them, talking to them. I've worked for leaders who don't talk to us. And I feel like when it comes to someone's leadership style, I will respect a leader who doesn't um who doesn't kind of like stick to just their own thoughts and their own way of thinking, but they are actually intentionally curious about the people they're leading. So I would love a leader to come to me and say, hey, Shaquana, like, tell me about your backstory. Tell me where you're from. Tell me about how you're feeling today. Those type of things, just talking to people, you can learn a lot by talking and observing people. And so I think for leaders, just to kind of, I guess, kind of lump the answers to the questions together, I think as far as leadership style, just really having that human connection, removing whatever bias you have, removing whatever you've been taught, and really step into this, like, you know what, I'm brand new into the world, if you want to think. And so I want to absorb any and everything. That's how you learn about the people's cultures and things like that. So I think if a leader is intentional about listening, talking, learning, and observing the people within their organization, I think that can really help them be more mindful about body diversity and how they can use it within their leadership style. Because, like I said earlier, if a leader is really in tune with the people they are leading, they're able to influence them better. Because that's what a leader is, right? They influence people, so they're able to influence them better, and just make better decisions. I would say too, if you're a leader of an organization, make better decisions that are, of course, great for the bottom line, because that's what they're all about, but also you need your people. And if your people don't feel good about the place they're in because of whatever reason, then you're going to lose them, and all that stuff starts to happen. So I think, just like I said, just listening, observing, talking to people, researching. I definitely did my own research as well, but use Google. There's so many resources out there that can really open your mind up to, like, oh wow, I didn't know this was an issue. I do that all the time with different things that go on socially, in our world. Like, wow, this is major, and I didn't know that because I never had exposure to that. So it's kind of like, expose yourself to things, get outside of your comfort zone, learn different things, new things, and I think that will really help with leadership style.
And to add to that, feelings matter. So as leaders, yeah, there's the bottom line, and that needs to be taken care of. But if you really want the people in your organization to work to the best of their ability, you need to recognize their feelings. And feelings, you can't see that just by looking at somebody and looking at their body. You can a little bit if you're tuned in. But it's actually, like Shaquana said, taking an interest in the people. And it can be simply making eye contact and saying, hey, how are you doing? And my daughter works in a little local cafe bookstore. She's 16, but she knows all the regulars. And sometimes they'll have a bit more of a chat. Sometimes it's just, hey, how you doing? And they'll just share a little bit of their lives. She learns a little bit more about them all the time. And it's so lovely having that human connection. So as leaders, it's looking beyond the body to the human within and making that connection, and making sure that the people who are working with and for you know that their feelings matter, that they are important. When they feel that you feel that they are important and their feelings matter, then you're going to get the best from your people.
Absolutely. And, we talk a lot in the CWL. We've had many events that center on curiosity and the benefits that come when people are curious and inquisitive about things. So how can we get more curious about bodies that look different from ours?
Yeah, so I would say, one, talking to people around you, whether it's professionally, but even personally, just like Sophia and I were saying, just talking and learning bit by bit will help with that. Being curious, being genuinely curious about someone, oh my goodness, that is a win-win on both ends. Doing research, intentional research, saying, you know what, I think, Shaquana was kind of hinting at something. Let me research something about that to really understand her and see how she feels. And then I like to watch different documentaries. I like to watch, Netflix and Hulu, and all of those things are dear to my heart. So sometimes I'll turn on a documentary that talks about body image, that talks about any other topic that I don't know much about, because that is how I really better myself as a person, really. I know, I am a plus size woman, but just recently, I watched Lizzo's show on Amazon Prime. She just won an Emmy for it. So I was like, oh, well, maybe I'll check it out. And even as a plus size woman, because her show was focused on plus size women, I still learn things, and I was still reminded of things. So just having your eyes and ears open to receive and learn, I think will be a great resource. But there are definitely plenty of articles and books and TV shows that can really help, but also just talking to people.
I agree. And just watching people, like in your workplace, just sit and really observe people. Listen to the conversations too, as a leader, like really listening. What are the conversations people are having? If you hear someone making derogatory comments about somebody else's body shape, size, and the other one is age. So women over 40, I hear so often, they're invisible. Well, I'm 53 and I'm more visible now than I've ever been in my life. And it's only going to get more as I age. I've learned a lot and I now have a lot to say and share. And finally, I feel comfortable to share my opinion. Whereas before I was so afraid I was going to upset someone, say something wrong and be punished for it. So really observing, witnessing, getting out of our own minds, just even going down the street. Sometimes I'll just sit on a busy street and watch the people. I go like, wow, look at all the shapes and sizes. And you watch young people, old people. As people grow older, there's a real prejudice against older people in our community. We don't value them. Again, taking the time to just say, hey, how you doing? That's all you need. People will start talking if you make the time and space to really listen and be present. So I'm constantly meeting people down the street and we just start chatting and they will tell me about themselves and their lives. And it's really lovely. It's just so much diversity everywhere. So it's really opening your mind, opening your eyes and your ears and your heart to be present and notice, really notice, because we can walk along with tunnel vision, just so much in our own thoughts. And when we're not happy with our body, most of those thoughts are about our body. We catch our reflection in the window and go, oh, suck it in, head up, shoulders back. Instead, look out, look at all the other people and just notice how beautiful humanity is, how diverse. We look in the garden, we see all these flowers, but look at all these people. And just notice, take away the prejudice and be really present and see the true beauty in everyone.
I love that. I love that appreciation and just taking the time for conversation, because that's really how we all learn and grow, and we don't want to lose that art, So for people that are looking to either learn more about this topic, or they want maybe to incorporate some of these ideas into their own workplace, what are some resources that they can turn to learn more about this?
So,
well, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
In Australia, we have a wonderful organization called the Butterfly Foundation, and that organization is all about eating disorders and body image. They have incredible resources and a wonderful podcast. I highly, highly recommend them. I've done a number of workshops with them. They come into into workplaces as well and do workshops with people. And they have a lot of online resources, so people can access that from anywhere in the world. Yeah.
Awesome. So, Yeah, and I was going to say just joining those type of groups or conversations, or even like I've had people, in which I don't think I see anyone on here yet, but maybe they'll catch the replay. But I've had people reach out and said, this is a really good topic that I hadn't been exposed to. I'm going to register and join. Doing things like that really allows you to learn and gain a better perspective. um, Researching books, TV, internet articles, whatever that may be. But I love Sophia's mention of a foundation, because I just thought about different organizations out there. There's lots of groups out there that aim to promote body positivity and body inclusion, especially in the fashion space. But even especially also in like women empowerment spaces as well. Just attending different events or talks like this is definitely a great resource to gain other people's perspective. And it kind of triggers or kind of sparks something within yourself that says, oh, wow, okay, now I want to research and talk about this more, or have conversations with people more about it as well. So I think those will be some great resources to at least get started. And then as you go, you'll get even more information about it.
Great, thank you. And two for our attendees, if there's anybody that would like more information, feel free to reach out to us at the CWL, and we will be glad to share some of Sophia and Shaquanna's resources with you. Well, I know this is a topic that so many people are passionate about. These ladies have awesome insight to share. I would absolutely love to open the floor up to questions. If you want to type it into the chat, that's fine. Or if you want to turn on your mic or your camera, feel free to do that. This is super casual here, so we would love to hear from you guys and what your questions are for these amazing ladies. I'm going to scroll through the chat, see what I can find. Lots of positive feedback. Aubrey, did you get any additional questions?
I actually have a question myself. I'm curious to know, how do you guys deal with negative feedback when people disagree with you about your perspective on body image, especially in the workplace, when it can be so hard to bring something so personal into that space?
That's a really good question. How do I deal with the negative feedback? I think when it comes to having conversations with people who may have different perspectives, different views on things, one, respect has to be factored in that. Respecting each other's opinions and thoughts for what it is, and understanding that just because they may disagree doesn't mean that I'm wrong and that in what I believe. So having that belief in how I view body image, body positivity, I believe in empowering and emboldening women when it comes to their bodies, obviously because I dress them. But I, even on LinkedIn, I sometimes get messages, they're like, no, and I'm just like, it's okay. It's okay for you to, we can always agree to disagree, I think is how you say it. But a lot of that too is educating people. So sometimes people just need to be educated on your viewpoint. And then at the end of the day, you might be like, okay, I see where you're going. I may not be there yet, but at least we can have that healthy conversation and talk through those differences and the different viewpoints. So to me, that's how I would handle it from a professional standpoint, just and even personal. Just understanding that just because their viewpoint is different does not make me wrong. I think that's what sometimes get people rowdied up when they're having a conversation with someone and you disagree, because it's almost as if they're saying, no, your viewpoint is wrong. No, you're not saying I'm wrong. You're just saying that you prefer your own belief. So I think having that understanding will help with that. And then one other thing that I was going to say too is, and I think it's really important for us to also be empowered to speak up when they notice that there's some type of body discrimination or something like that that's going on, especially in the workplace. So I don't know, that may lead to like a disagreement. I'm not sure, but I just wanted to mention that too, that oftentimes things happen in corporate spaces or professional spaces that it may not be evident, immediately evident that, oh, wait, you are like discriminating against them because of their body, because of their weight or whatever. And especially as leaders, it's important to speak up and talk about it and address it, educate if needed, but also, any of us, we're all leaders in our own right, but any of us should definitely speak up and talk about it, not be afraid to do that, because it's super, super important to do that.
I agree. I practice a number of techniques. So firstly, if someone says something negative that's personally to me, this is a technique I learned from Marissa Peer. So the first thing, if they make some sort of negative, derogatory or critical comment, I'll say, excuse me, could you repeat that? I didn't quite catch what you said. Because often people make some comment in the heat of their emotional, it's off the cuff. And they'll suddenly realize, oh, that was inappropriate. And they're like, oh, no, don't worry about it. Now, if they repeat it, then I can say like, oh, did you say that with the intention of hurting my feelings? And in that case, I go, no, I say, for example, I go like, oh, you look terrible in that dress. That doesn't suit your figure at all. And you should lose weight. I've had people, when I was allowed to say like, you really should be watching what you eat. You need to lose a bit of weight. So I would then say, or if they said it about someone else, did you intend to hurt their feelings? Was that your intention? In which case they might go, no, I was actually trying to be helpful. I'm like, not sure if that came across that way. Or they might go, yes, I did. I don't like that person. And in which case you go, well, people who are critical of others reserve the most criticism for themselves and just walk away. That's one way of handling that sort of negative feedback. The other way I practice is a technique I learned from Dr. Ramani. So she's a specialist in narcissistic behaviors. And I find this technique is just generally helpful with anyone who may be slightly toxic or have a very strong viewpoint that is in conflict with my own. And it's called the deep technique. So don't defend, don't engage in conversation, don't defend, don't engage, don't explain, and don't take it personally. So if someone's just being very abrupt, they're not willing to actually have an assertive communication that's respectful to both parties, I practice that deep technique. Don't defend. So don't defend my point of view. I don't engage further, don't emotionally engage in the conversation. I don't need to explain why I believe what I believe in, and I don't take it personally. Other than that, it's being curious. If someone's willing to have more of a conversation, often, like we talked about earlier, people have their beliefs. These are beliefs they've carried since childhood, usually inherited, usually because they heard someone else saying certain things, and they're not even aware that they have them. So just being curious and saying, tell me more. And listening and being present. And then we really learn, well, this is where this person's coming from, and taking an interest in them and knowing they've inherited this belief. We all have, all our beliefs, we inherit until we bring the unconscious to our conscious awareness, as Carl Jung says, it will rule our life and we will call it fate. So taking that interest and going like, let's dig a little deeper. What's below the surface of this comment?
Thank you so much, Sophia. And I would love to revisit one of the comments that Shaquana made earlier, because it really resonated with me. I'm a plus-sized person too. And Shaquana was talking about dressing and the idea of highlighting, not hiding. And I can tell you, if I had to choose one word to describe my personal style, it is frumpy. Oh, it is. Because again, I'm a plus size person. My mother has been like a size 2 her whole life. I was conditioned to believe that if you're not thin, that's something to be ashamed of, and it should be hidden. And so unfortunately, that, and I know I'm not alone here. I'll guarantee you there are other people here that feel the same way. They're not piping up, but they feel the same way. And so when you're conditioned to think that everything is wrong with your body, you might look at it and say, I can't find a single thing I want to highlight. What do? I want to hide it all. So, how do we get past that? Even if there's not necessarily a part of our body that we love or that we want to highlight, how do we get to that point where we say, it's okay, I'm going to embrace it just the way it is, and I don't have to hide it. I don't have to, be embarrassed about it. There's nothing wrong with it. How do we do that?
It honestly is such an emotional, mental, and spiritual journey that you have to go on to do that. There's a lot of layers that you have to unpack, and then we've unpacked, I would say, between the three of us alone on some things that we've learned when we've grown up, right? So it's getting to the root of, why do I feel this way? Do I feel this way because I genuinely hate my body, or do I feel this way because someone made me hate my body? And understand, I'm a huge advocate of therapy. I go to therapy. I just had my session yesterday. I'm a huge fan of therapy, and therapy has helped me unpack some of my own insecurities and get down to the root of what, why I feel like this in the first place. And that helps me unlearn, that helps me transform my way of thinking. So I would say it's really a journey. It's not anything that's overnight, because we have to unpack and unlearn so much that we have been taught. But I would say the first thing to do to start working on, feeling better about yourself or identifying those areas that you want to highlight, or just figuring out, like, well, if I don't like anything, what do I do? One, I think someone said in the chat, Aubrey said, curiosity is key. So we talked about being curious with others. Be curious with yourself as well. I always tell my clients and tell women, go just try something different that you never worn before. If you're trying to figure out your style, if you are trying to just elevate it a bit and not feel like you always have to settle for this particular style, because a lot of us as plus size women, we grew up with the plus size brands that really didn't make you feel stylish and modern and hip and all that stuff. So have fun and be curious with yourself. Try different styles, try different colors, try different jewelry or something like that. That's the only way you can learn, right? And I know for a fact every woman has some part of their body that they love and want to highlight. They just don't know it yet. So I think it's a matter of just being curious and figuring out or trying different things to help you figure out, oh, wow, you know what? I really do like my shoulders. Or I have clients who like love simple things as like their collarbone. Like I have a client, she's like, I just want to show off my collarbone. It's those little things, or I like my hands or something like that. Just identifying those little things can really help when it comes to dressing to highlight, not to hide yourself.
Thank you very much.
I want to also add that it's not your body size. I felt frumpy my entire life because I haven't known how to dress to highlight the nice bits. So I think that's another part of diversity, is thinking it's only larger women who feel frumpy. Whereas you can be a smaller size and still feel very uncomfortable and frumpy and not like your body. But yes, my shoulders, I do love my shoulders. Mm-hmm. And another wonderful thing is I have a local photographer. She's running a campaign called Everybody, and it's to encourage women of all shapes and sizes to have beautiful artistic photographs. And she's incredible. So, looking around in your own communities, finding photographers who will help you feel beautiful, because so many women don't get their photo taken because, I don't like the way I look. I'll have my photo taken when I lose 10 kilos, 20 kilos, 50 kilos. Not recognizing you are beautiful, but often we don't know how to dress to highlight. I've been doing some work with Cindy Joseph, a makeup brand which is really pro-age. And it's the same, they're all about highlighting, not hiding flaws, highlighting and bringing out the essence that is you. We can do that with our clothing, we can do that with our makeup, and by connecting with ourselves and really just even spending time in the shower when you're having a shower or taking a bath and just looking at your body and this miracle that is our body, and taking that time to really deeply appreciate, wow, I live in this incredible body. I don't even understand really how it all works, but here it is with every breath I take.
Yeah, because you only get one body, so
you only one body. Yeah.
I love that, Sophia.
And forgiving yourself. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry.
No. I think what you said is absolutely so profound, and it really it really kind of jumped out to me, because I think as a plus size person, I see any thin person and that looks like the holy grail to me. So when I see any thin person, I assume that person must be thrilled. You know what I mean? Like they just must be walking around feeling great about themselves. That's not the case. And I think that that's what body diversity is all about. So we, you know, we all have our insecurities, and you know, you can't assume that just because someone looks a certain way that they feel a certain way or that they are a certain way. And so that was really, really profound to me. So thank you so much for sharing that. We've got just a couple of minutes before closing. So are there any, you know, last minute tips or takeaways or affirmations that you ladies would like to share with our guests here?
Yeah, because I did see the question about favorite affirmations that speak over yourselves or your clients. There is one affirmation that I use that I literally apply it to like almost everything, and that is I am safe. I am safe to be Shaquana. I am safe to be a Black woman. I'm safe to be a plus size woman. I'm safe when I step into these different spaces where I don't look like everyone else. I am safe. And that helps me just with kind of eliminating some of the anxiety that comes with that, but just also allowing myself to feel more secure in who I am. So that I always say, I am safe. I am safe. It's so simple, but it's so powerful. And then also too, I was going to mention when it comes to getting dressed, also don't wait until you lose that X amount of weight that you want to lose before you start deciding to have a stylish wardrobe. Don't wait. You're doing yourself a disservice, and you're literally teaching and telling yourself that you don't deserve to look and feel your best right now. You only deserve it once you lose a certain amount of weight. No, don't do that at all. That is continuing to beat yourself up. So that's another takeaway. And then one other thing, so I did want to address Aubrey's question about what's one thing you could do when you want to be professional but wear something that expresses your personality, is, like I said, kind of trying new things, but incorporating little things into your wardrobe. So maybe it's a pair of like earrings like this, or some type of color that you've always been wanting to wear. Like I truly believe, especially post-pandemic, wearing like black and navy and these neutral colors into workplaces, while yes, it's okay, it's not the standard anymore. It's not the norm anymore. So add some color, add pop of color, wear a nice necklace one day, wear a blazer in like a nice coral color or something that helps really to express your personality and make you feel your best. And when you're happy, you're able to perform better, have high productivity levels at work. All good things happen from that.
I agree. And I want to add to that, get your colors done. So one of the most amazing experiences I had that really helped me to feel better, but I still want to work with Shaquana so that she can help me with my style, is I had a color analysis done. In fact, I have it right here. So these little things, I have all my colors. These are the colors that suit me the best. So when I go to purchase clothing, jewelry, you know, even things for my home, I like everything in my colors. I can choose colors that I know are going to bring out the best in my skin, hair, and eye color that really complement me. And it was one other thing that I thought of, affirmations. My favorite one, I love I am safe as well. One is whatever you say to yourself, feel it in your body. How does it feel in your body? Because you think a thought, and emotion follows thought, and then action follows emotion. So whatever affirmations you use, and I used to say so many affirmations to myself, but I didn't feel them in my body, and I couldn't understand why they weren't working. So if you say, I'm strong, I'm confident, I'm capable, but in your body, you feel blah, 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 that's not the one. But you might then say, I'm choosing to feel stronger today. I am choosing, before any affirmation is a game changer. I am choosing to walk tall today. I am choosing to feel good about where I am today. And my all-time favorite that I learned from Marissa Peer is, I am enough. I still have it taped to my bathroom mirror. I am enough exactly as I am. Always have been, always will be. I still can't say it without getting chills. Big breath, releasing tension. I am enough. It's my favorite.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sophia. You ladies have been absolutely incredible, amazing. Thank you so much, Shaquana. Thank you so much, Sophia. Thank you to our attendees. Please check us out on the CWL website. Check us out on social media. We're on Instagram, we're on LinkedIn, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook. You can find all of those links in the chat. Aubrey has posted them there. If you would like to learn more, please feel free to reach out to us at the CWL. And thank you as always. Have a wonderful day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.